Imagine if Half-Life 1 included crafting and technology and the ability to play as one of the other scientists, and you have Abiotic Factor. Sprinkle in a few hints of inspiration from SCP and you have its final product. It brings back that same 90s sci-fi shooter goodness with an open world survival crafting element to it, letting up to 6 players collaborate to explore its massive subterranean complex. As a gate scientist, as you'd expect, just like in Half-Life, there's a containment breach where you'll encounter many of the anomalies and supernatural alien entities all throughout the facility, turning it into a cosmic battle zone. You're stranded miles below the surface, and you and the other scientists, be it in single player or with multiplayer help, have to use your wits to plan your escape as you survive in the meantime. You'll first have to select your character, and it has some pretty good customization, which lets you pick your hair, face types, suits, ties and shirts, lasses, trousers, belts, shoes, ID cards, and your voice line. There are some wacky and wonderful cosmetic options, and I of course tried to make myself look as much like the Half-Life's Dr. Kleiner as possible, although I did notice they did change some assets to kind of be different from Half-Life to stay unique, since the original branding of this game was very Half-Life-esque. The intro mission sees you driving into the facility accompanied by a likeable Aussie security guard who shows you the way as you course through the Outback's desert to the facility.
So, ready for your first day?
It was quite tempting at this point to see if I could take a shotgun and helmet to pull off an Order 66 on the guy and then roll out the car Jason Statham style, but sadly that wasn't an option given to me in the game.
There she is.
The facility looks seemingly underwhelming the first time you arrive, but it's concealed below the ground. And sadly the security dude just pulls a donut in his car and speeds off without as much of a word to you to say goodbye, cold as ice. You then sprint up to the facility. I did interact with the intercom, although the door didn't actually unlock, so I just had to boot it in and kick it in. And the Australian Barney Calhoun clone at the reception then instructs you to enter the facility.
Okay, you're the transfer, huh? You sure picked a day. Things a bit hectic downstairs this morning. Just grab your gate pal there. It'll help you get sorted. Sorted? Okay. Most of what you need should be in your gate pal. Well, eventually. But you're good to go. Get down to the elevator. It'll take you down to induction. They'll take care of you.
A lot of the assets like the props and the doors do give off that Half-Life vibe, but it has its own PS1 style art to it. The inventory lets you interact with items you pick up. For example, to equip this hard hat that I had to pick up.
Health and safety and stuff. Grab that one and chuck it on. So, you've got what you need. Head through the gate to my left, down to the elevator. It'll take you down to induction.
Welcome to the Gate Cascade Research Facility.
And then the introduction to the facility is very Half-Life-esque, although instead of riding a tram into the facility, you take a lift down, with each of the floors having similar intro sequences, where you can see the staff and the aliens walking through the corridors.
Security instructions. Now arriving at staff processing.
You have to then take a detour into the facility due to unforeseen circumstances, which sees you crawl through a vent for some reason. The ladder system is the same too. You pick up a flashlight and then you break the vent into 1,000 pieces, which you can later just use for crafting items. And there's a bunch of melee tools in the toolbox where you can smash up the objects. This is a common trend later to break down objects for items. The first encounter with the aliens is a bundled up beetle looking thing in a cage. The cool thing is you can craft nets to capture monsters, incapacitating them, and then you can just heal stomp their face into fresh meat. Satisfying.
Oh, brutal.
Reading some of the emails around the facility on the computer are pretty funny. They give a little extra lore and storyline to everything, and some of them are also comical too. The journal, which you can activate on the Gate Pal, lets you see the current objectives, but more on that later. I ended up just spamming the vendor machines to try to eat every snack and drink every drink in there, just in case there was some kind of achievement for it, although I was too broke to do that since I ran out of money before I could get the last one. And in typical Rage, I did try to bust open the vendor machine with a wrench, but that didn't work either. The electronic electronics tutorial sequence shows you how to link up machines. You package up a heater so that you can move it and relocate it to the nearby power source. Then you use a screwdriver to piece it together and then connect up the wires to give it power. It's a simple system which powers all the electronics in the game, although when you get to the crafting, things are a little bit more complex than that. After the intro, you can then proceed into the normal game. Since the game is built upon multiplayer, you can set up either a local or an open server with a world name, max players, a password to connect, and various other options like you'd see in Minecraft. You can also modify the sandbox settings, which lets you control things like loot respawning, power outlets working at nighttime, modifying the day-night cycle, enemy spawn rates and properties, XP modifiers, friendly fire and survival metrics. There's a whole lot of customizability, you get the idea. Then you get to pick your character's traits and skills. The game has a system that's very similar to the Fallout games, with a range of classes that give you various strengths and perks. I'll show all of the classes and their bonuses in the footage just so you get an idea. Then there's a series of available traits that you can choose from. These give your character stat boosts, but you can only start out with 3 points to spend on these. Now the interesting thing is that you can actually choose negative traits which may make you hungrier or thirstier quicker, give you slower stamina, or generally make you have a harder time. But in turn, they'll balance it out by throwing you some more positive points to spend on the positive traits too. The first mission in the cafeteria involves saving a scientist who's locked behind some double doors. I guess because the quest giver dude's just too lazy or unathletic to help him himself. Or probably, I guess, what I deemed is he just doesn't like him.
Looks like Jaeger's locked out. Typical. See if you can let him in. Maybe he knows what's happened. But take your time. He's insufferable.
I also wanted to show you more of the GatePal device. It's a tablet that shows data on everything from cooking recipes, emails, as well as indexes of all the entities that you've discovered so far on your escapades, as well as locations, the registry, whatever that is, theories, and also people, which I guess is for the scientists and security personnel which you come across too. The menus all have hotkeys for quick access, and you can view your current character stats like hunger, hydration, and any health issues or injuries. Yet again, kind of like Fallout, since you can bandage yourself in a similar way to how stimpaks work in those games. The crafting and research button, and then you can also view your skills, which shows the XP gained in the various stats which are earned over time from playing. These are broken down into fitness, combat and crafting categories containing various sub-skills like sprinting, sharp or blunt weapons, construction, first aid, etc. I'll make sure to show all of the skills. After looting a nice little storage room, you then have to take to the vents again in search of the guy. After entering the bathroom and plundering the medical supplies and skipping the trash bin, I learned a few things. First of all, you can drink from the sinks, interact with the light switches, but also play some mini-game to relieve yourself. Apparently if you hit the green zones, you poop quicker or something. And apparently the janitor's closet is located in the toilets, which I guess is kind of weird and perverse. But the chef's hat looked pretty cool, so I guess we'll forget that. After exiting the vents, I had my first encounter with a carbuncle, which is basically a horrid jaw-looking thing which I stomped on, and a poor Vortigaunt-looking thing which has been electrocuted in the wall. The head crab replacements are these weird spiked hedgehog-looking aliens, which are actually pretty brutal. Apparently most things are destructible in this game, so I dismantled every pipe for crafting supplies. I kind of feel sorry for the plumbing system though. I happened to stumble upon a computer and open their emails. They were talking some boring stuff about cooking, so being nosy, I opened the cooking.jpg file attached to the email. It was a juicy looking steak with a knife in it, and after it loaded for millennia from the dial-up internet, I happened to learn the recipe for a shiv somehow, proceeding to net up one of those cosmic hedgehogs and boot it in the cranium for kicks. In the next room, the insufferable scientist is still crying behind the door, so I decided to help him. It turns out one of those creatures is stuck in the door's outlet and it needs fixing. The crafting and research feature comes into play here. It lets you use items to learn the recipe first and then acquire the items to actually craft the thing. In this case, we needed the energy module. In the other room, I scrapped and salvaged a bunch of old television sets and beat up some dude's computer for some electronics, although he did leave a note telling me it was okay to do so, I guess. I then learnt the crafting bench recipe and constructed it nearby like I learnt in the tutorial, although somehow the crafting machine needs to be plugged in too. I don't remember that step in Minecraft, but oh well. So I had to move the thing to get it hooked up to some power because the plug socket wouldn't extend the 50 meters to where I'd put it previously. And after crafting the energy brick and hooking it up, some big lizard thing teleported out of the ether from thin air and just absolutely yeeted the guy from his behind. I can't tell if I was more annoyed that I wasted all my time saving the guy or if I was happy he wasn't moaning anymore. The good thing though is you can move the crafting bench and machines by just simply packaging them up, so you don't need to keep on crafting or making them. I had another run-in with another Australian security dude. I'm starting to kind of think these guys are clones at this point, although not of Django Fett, but probably of some generic Aussie guy that you'd find at a beach club in Europe.
Good day, and this isn't a good day. But
Clearance
big voice
insufficient.
says, get out, I'd do what she says. Elevators are dead, so head for the main tunnel in manufacturing on level 2. There's maps over there. But me, I'm staying right here.
You have to appreciate the level design in this game though, with its huge rooms, sprouting side tunnels and corridors, and its attention to detail within its interiors. After wasting a bunch of nets, I ended up just resorting to overkill on this alien which was hiding below a desk. Now unfortunately some construction dude was bleeding from his gut next to his forklift, bless him. Apparently I needed to repair it for him to open the door. I decided it was better to spend my materials on learning the pipe club recipe rather than actually help him. I guess I got sidetracked. I also decided to play the poop game again in the porta potty for some reason. I guess it is pretty fun after all. Also, instead of a HEV suit like in Half-Life, there was just a huge robot, although apparently they only come alive at the night time, night of the museum style, so I guess it's only dangerous if I waste time until then. Now the end of my adventure was hopping down a hole in the ground. I saw some water down there and it seemed like the only way to continue. I figured it'd just cushion my fall. Yet apparently my feeble knees couldn't take gravity and that was just the end of that. And that's Abiotic Factor, and I'll definitely be playing more of it. What did you think of this game? Does it have the same star power as a Half-Life game, or is it a miss? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more underrated and unknown mods and games before anyone else, because I'm showing some real hidden gems on here. Thanks for watching.